for the day. Remember, we've been talking a lot about prayer, and we will continue to do so. Isaiah chapter 40, we're going to start at verse 28. It's a familiar verse. It says, "Have you not known? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He does not faint or grow weary. His understanding is unsearchable. He gives power to the faint, and to him who has no might, he increases strength. Even youths shall faint and be weary, and young men shall fall exhausted. But they who wait for the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint." Now, I know this verse doesn't specifically say anything about prayer, but when I consider what it is to wait for or wait on the Lord, I cannot think of any better way to do so than in prayer. For how is it that we come before God? How is it that we approach the throne of grace, except by prayer? And it seems to me that there is so much in this life which makes us weary. There's so much weariness with which we have to contend. And I don't mean physical weariness, although there's plenty of that. I mean a weariness of the heart, a weariness of the will. Because every week we go out, or we stay in, whatever the case may be, and we contend with the world, with life, with living. There's plenty to contend with in just living. And there are times when we feel up to the challenge. There are plenty of times when we don't. There are plenty of times when we wake up and we're bombarded with the cares of the day. That it's an accomplishment to just get up. And we think, I don't even know if I have strength to just do the basic things of life today. And that's weariness. That's weariness. That's heaviness. That's what we need. That's where we need to come to God and say, "Lord, I'm tired. And I'm weary, and I don't feel I have the strength." And so rather than rely on the strength which I can summon, I'm going to wait on you and look to you to give me the strength I do not have, to renew me. Because that's what it is, right? Shall renew their strength, revitalize, give new life. Because I haven't even run yet and I'm weary. And I think Christ himself did this many times. When you read Matthew 11, 28 through 30, it talks about, it's the passage after Christ feeds the 5,000. Now that's a big day, because in the whole story, he and his disciples in the morning spend the day crossing the sea. And when they get to the other side, they're surprised to see a crowd of 5,000 men. And who knows how many women and children. And Christ sees them, and then he preaches to them. He gives a sermon. And he preaches all day, to the point that it's dinner time, and his disciples are saying, hey, these people need to go home so we can all eat. But then Jesus says, no, let them stay, and he feeds them miraculously. And night comes. It's been all day. And the Bible doesn't say that he's weary or tired. But, I have to imagine he is. You might say, well, Jared, it's Jesus. Jesus never gets tired. Jesus was a man. He was fully man. He felt the pains and weariness of life as we do, probably more than we do. And so the Bible says he dismisses his disciples. He says, go back on the boat. You go ahead and cross that sea again. You go up to the other side. And then he dismisses the crowds. He says, go on home. And the Bible says he goes off alone, not to sleep, but to pray. Whereas I probably would have been thinking, I need some rest and I need to sleep. But Jesus knows the true cure for weariness is to go wait on the Lord and allow him to renew his strength. So Jesus goes alone before God and spends his time in prayer, and there finds new strength. Because right after that, he goes and crosses a stormy sea on foot. And then in an even heavier time for Christ, right before his crucifixion, Christ knows it's the day. He knows it's the hour. And the Bible actually says he was depressed, weary, heavy in the heart. And what does Christ do? In those last moments, he says, I need more strength, so I need to go pray. And so he goes to the garden. He brings his disciples, but he says, you stay here. I'm going to go about a stone's throw away, and I'm going to pray. Because he knew he needed more strength than he had, that only the Father could give, to face the fight that was in front of him, to endure the trial and the sacrifice set before him. And so that's the example we have. When we are weary, when we feel our strength is at its end, when we feel that we've run out of the will to do right, to do what we know we should, we need to wait on the Lord and allow him to renew our strength. And the best way I know to do that is in prayer. So that's all I had for that. That's all I wanted to say in that regard. So.